Good morning. My name is Fernando, Acuna, captain of the Dallas Fire and Rescue Training Academy. What we're going to do this morning is we're going to get this pump, this engine ready for service. Before you even pull it out, one of the things that you have to do is that you do a quick walk around, see if you see any fluids, any water leaking, anything that's out of the ordinary. So we've done our walk around. We pull the engine out, and one of the things that you can do while you are washing it is you can start preparing this pump panel for the service for the day. One of the things that you can do is actually work these levers or work the rods for all these discharges and prepare them for service. So best thing to do is when you are washing it, pull all these rods out. Again, the pump is not engaged, so you pull all these rods out. What you'll notice is the ones that you use the most or that you test most often are the ones that are easiest to pull in and out. Simple soap and water. We'll say that this one's the one with soap and water. We'll clean it. Then get another one. Take all that grime off. Again, when you are doing this, you'll notice that the ones that are smoother usually are the ones that you use the most. Work them before you put them back in. Nice and smooth. Now, before we re-engage the pump or engage the pump, we have to make sure that there is water in this tank. The best way for you to make sure that there is water in this tank is we're going to actually climb up on top and open up the hatch. That hatch is a doorway, you can say, into the water tank. So I'm going to climb up here. And the first hatch that you encounter is the water. Take off my glove. Sometimes it's a little dark in there, but I'll reach in there and I'll make sure that I touch water. If it's really low or you don't touch water at all, then that means that you have a possible leak. The next step is to actually set the relief valve. We're going to test the relief valve. One of the things that you have to do is to make sure that the spring action in this relief valve is exercised every shift. If you leave this relief valve set, say at 140 or 150 every single day, the spring in there develops a memory. Even though you move it back and forth, the chamber moves, but that spring, because it developed a memory, the spring doesn't move, and that's what actually does the relieving. We're going to pull this engine out and actually set the relief valve at whatever the officer wants it to be set at. All right, so now we're gonna set the relief valve. We pulled the engine out onto the approach. I'm going to go inside and put it in pump gear. You do not want to set it in pump gear while you are down at floor level or ground level. Anytime you're going to touch this pump shift lever, it has to be on neutral. So what I'm going to do now, make sure it's on neutral, grab the plunger, and I'm going to shift it down. And you'll see one green light light up. Now I would have to put it in drive. Again, if you notice, I put my foot over the brake just in case it doesn't go into drive. Because if I didn't, then this engine essentially would want to take off. Put it in drive, you'll feel it go into pump gear. And more importantly, down here is an indicator. Now I have two green lights and the bottom light saying it's okay to pump. Essentially now it is in pump gear. Test it, gas pedal doesn't work, we're good to go. First thing I do is I make sure that I do have pressure. Once you engage the pump, the impeller starts spinning. So if there is water in the pump housing, you should register a pressure. In our case, we're going to pull tank to pump. We'll pull water from the tank down into the pump. If you didn't have pressure before, you should now register a pressure because water has moved into the pump housing. But if it did have a zero, I would prime it. Once it gets primed, then we're good to go. So now, I'm going to prepare to test this on my own. The best way for you to set your relief valve is to actually flow water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it slightly on fog, put it underneath the cab, and pull the hose reel, thereby charging the hose reel. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. I'm gonna increase this pressure to about 180. I'm gonna turn the relief valve on. It's not doing anything. Relief valve is still closed because it's disengaged. In other words, the pressure is higher than 180. I'm gonna decrease it half a turn at a time until it catches. I'm moving the chamber, exercising this spring. Once it actually starts relieving, the relief valve will open, the light will light up, but more importantly, you can hear it start relieving. The pressure will start dropping as I turn. Pressure is relieved down to about 60 pounds. I'm gonna turn it off. The pressure should increase back to 180. Do it about 5-6 times. You're making sure that that spring is working, that the spring is actually moving back and forth. Now, it's still down, it's still being relieved down to about 60 pounds of pressure. I'm gonna set it at the pressure that I want. I'm gonna relieve it at 150. When I turn this off, it should go back to 180 because that's what the pump is pumping to 180. It doesn't know that there's a relief valve here. The pump is doing what I tell it to do. The relief valve is doing what I tell it to do. When I turn off the relief valve, it should jump back up to 180. I test it one more time. I throttle down. Turn this off. Turn my nozzle off. Turn my relief valve off. I close my tank to pump. Again, I've used a good amount of water for demonstration purposes. Once you get a good system, a good pattern of doing that test for the relief valve, the amount of water that you actually use, or in a sense waste, from your tank will be minimal. Now the next part of this training video is we're gonna start with flowing water from the tank to a crosslay and then upgrade it to the point where we use this engine or this pump to its maximum capability.